Hey guys, welcome back to the Ad Lib Podcast. Today is episode number 70. And with me today is the one and only Bruce Micalefeno. How's it going, Bruce?
Hey, very good, very good. Thanks for having me, Andrea, and the Ad Lib guys. I appreciate it.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on. Franco will be joining very soon. Franco today will be leading the show because in around 10 minutes, I need to set off. There is Inter tonight, who might potentially win the league. And Franco just joined now. Franco will be in charge today. He'll be leading the show.
Hello.
How's it going, Franco?
Oh, we're live already, by the way. I don't.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we're live.
Hello to all the people. How are you doing today? You're in my hands. In my evil hands. But no, obviously, unfortunately, Andrea has he has balls before bros, basically.
True. Today is a one-off. I already missed a couple of Inter matches, to be fair, because they've been playing on Monday for some reason. I chose Monday because it's perfect right after the weekend after you've watched lots of movies. One reason why I wanted to make it live on Monday. But the second reason is because nothing happens on Monday usually. So people can join in and we would have no commitments generally on Monday.
Usually.
For some reason, the fixture list has been like 3 matches all on Monday, which is crazy. But it's good to be here, guys. I hope you'll enjoy the night. Today we've got a lot. I was just talking to Bruce Franco. We don't need to cover all of this, but I think the most important, to be honest, to cover today. By the way, we're on the Ad Lib Podcast. Here we talk about movies, series, and video games, and we've got a few trailers to react to today. First of all, we've got the M. Night Shyamalan trailer, Trap, to have a look at. Yes, for some reason my camera is stuck. We've got the M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, by the way.
Yes, Bruce.
I switched to headphones. Okay, fantastic.
Yes, Bruce, you sound good. There's the M. Night Shyamalan trailer, Trap. We've got Scarlett Johansson and Chris Hemsworth voicing their characters in Transformers 1, the first Transformers 1 trailer. Apart from that, we have the new, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which we'll be covering later on as well. We've got Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman there. With regard to news, I would say the most important news to come out this week would be the Netflix one, where Netflix are using AI-generated images of a real person in their true crime documentary. Some news about a old boy English language TV series, which is in the works from Park Chan-wook at Lionsgate. Since there are no gamers tonight, I don't know if you want to talk about the whole live service games issue. I don't know if you want to get into it or not, guys. That's up to you. That's up to you then, Franco. And Bruce, obviously.
Depends on Bruce if he's
gaming. I'm not. I know absolutely nothing about gaming. So I mean, I'd be excited to hear what you have to say about it, Franco.
No. I'm really. So you're not a gamer like me, basically. But I heard.
No, nothing. My peak came with Pokemon Yellow. That's where I peaked in gaming on the Game Boy Color. That was the most I ever gamed.
By the way, hello, Yella. Hello. Hey guys. But
and reviews. We've got Rebel Moon. I'll join in right when we reach the reviews. I'll have the stream obviously on my phone, and I'll join in right when we reach the review part of the stream. And I think, guys, we can actually get into a spoiler-filled review discussion, not really review, because Joe has already reviewed Civil War, but I think we can have a bit of a discussion on Civil War then to end the podcast, and that will be obviously the final review discussion. We can do that spoiler filled, because people then it's up to them, can leave if they wish. With that, guys, shall you get, because I have to set off. I'll leave you in Franco's good hands. I think, guys, you can start off by talking a little bit about what we've been up to this week. And enjoy the stream, enjoy the podcast. I'll be keeping an eye on my phone. I'll join in, like I said, right when you reach the review section.
The review section. So we're gonna say lots of shit about Andrea while he's
No.
watching the match.
The teacher's out of the classroom now.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Is he still in? Is he still in?
Yes, I'm still in. I'm still
Let's
in.
write the rude word on the blackboard.
No. Enjoying some more, guys.
All right.
And obviously, Bruce, you'll be talking about
Yeah.
your upcoming screening at Eden. I'll give it 5-10 more minutes before you start talking about it. Let some
No, for
people-
sure.
I'll share it on Instagram as well, and that's when people start to stream into the podcast.
Cheers.
So enjoy, guys. Have a good time, and I'll join in later on.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao,
Anyway,
ciao.
how's it been?
All right,
Bruce?
Franco, I say we just forget Andrea's plan for tonight. Let's just make this a Madam Web appreciation.
Yes.
episode.
All about
All right, just
all about
3 hours
Mad-
of
yes. Glazing Madam Web, basically. The
just praising
beauty-
Madam Web.
Exactly. There's also
The
Keith. Hello, Keith.
cinematography, the script.
Yes,
Everything.
the masterpiece that is Madam Web,
Exactly.
and the script writing and the ADR, their masterclass of
Mhm.
ADR as
Mhm.
well. Please, have you watched
I
it,
mean,
by the way, or
you know.
have you still?
No, I haven't yet.
So why are you
but-
shitting? Why are you shitting on it? That's right.
No. I might. I mean, give every film its chance. I might walk in and see it, and it may be my favorite film of all time. You don't know until you see it. You can't say.
To be honest, when I saw some reviews on Letterboxd, they enjoyed it. Right? And some people found it to be like so bad that it's good. What's happening here?
It's on Trevor. Teachers that.
Teachers here, okay. Because I'm feeling spoiled.
All right. I mean, but I think it became. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But sometimes it feels like the meme of the movie becomes bigger than the movie itself. Like people just love the meme of it being so bad. Like for instance, Cats. I didn't think was that effing bad. You know what I mean? It just felt like everyone was like fucking enjoying piling onto this movie. It was like this, it was like a meme to just joke about cats, But when I went to see the actual film, I was hoping for like The Room, I was hoping for like total crap. But it was just boring and fine, I guess, So I'm feeling that's maybe what will happen if I see Madam Web, is I'll be disappointed by how mediocre and fine it is.
What's funny here? So I'm gonna share the screen. Is that bear with me a second. Share. Yeah. So if you can see, there's I'm on Rotten Tomatoes. Trusty Rotten Tomatoes. The critics have put it 12%, but the audience viewers is 57%. This is something that is happening often right now, recently. Like they said, it's like it isn't a groundbreaking superhero movie, but it does a decent job of telling an entertaining origin story. But to be honest, anyway, first you see it. Anyone who's seen Madam Web, please leave a comment and chat. Let's get on with the show. Enough about Madam Web. What have you been up to this week, Bruce?
Yeah. You know what? I've been embarrassingly. I think I said the very first time I was on the podcast. I think I said I was watching the exact same thing, which was that I was watching the Lars von Trier series, The Kingdom.
Oh wow!
And then I stopped it. And now I'm continuing it again. So it's like I've been taking ages to finish this effing series. But back into it. I'm enjoying it. What else have I seen? I saw Castaway just recently. I don't know, I was flipping through and it just like I was tired and it was like a bit of a comforting movie to watch.
Okay. Was it a rewatch or was it the first time watch? And Bruce is out as well, so it's just me. Tell me what you have been doing on. Hello.
You haven't seen Castaway?
I've seen Castaway. You just
Can you hear me okay?
were disconnected. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Is it your first time seeing Castaway?
No. I've seen it before when I was younger, but I was rewatching it. Really holds up, that movie. It's a really good, well told film,
Yeah, what those
I
story.
think.
Well said.
Yeah, and I don't often like crying movies, but they really got to me at the end. I was tearing up. I was
Lalo.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like being cast away for so long. You know what? You know the trivia about this, right? That Robert Zemeckis, while Tom Hanks was losing weight to prepare for his character, filmed What Lies Beneath.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes, in
Okay.
between.
And both of those are massive hits, right? Those are huge hits.
Yeah, What Lies Beneath with Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer.
And Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what
What's your
he did,
favorite
basically.
Zemeckis, actually?
Much Back to the Future, I would say. That's Zemeckis, right?
Okay.
Classic
I'm gonna
Zemeckis.
put my flag down. I'm gonna say Death Becomes Her is my favorite.
I still haven't watched that, and
That is so perfect.
I have a soft spot for Beowulf as well. Huh?
Really? Well, okay. That whole image mover digital thing, I just couldn't get into.
No. I don't know. I mean,
me out.
I mean, for its, I have to rewatch it. It's definitely not Polar Express for sure.
Okay.
I think it was Ray Winston who did Beowulf, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, and it had Angelina Jolie. It had an amazing cast. Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
Crispin Glover reuniting with Zemeckis after they had a falling out over Back to the Future 2. In fact, there was a whole lawsuit about that whole thing.
Yes, because he was recast, and the guy that was recast had to wear makeup to look like him, basically, which was
yeah. So they basically stole his face, so they didn't have to pay him.
Let me find actually an image where it shows like how it is. So bear with me a second. Let me find the image. Anything else in the meantime that you have seen?
Not. Oh yeah, I saw a film. You know, It Follows.
Yes.
I saw a film by the same director because I love It Follows. I think It Follows is like one of the true horror classics of our time. You know, it's so original. And the director had made a film. David Robert Mitchell made a movie called The Myth of the American Sleepover.
That's his first one. That's his first.
Yeah, I think it was his debut. I think. And it was really good. It's a really kind of like hangout movie sort of thing. Very Dazed and Confused sort of vibe.
Okay. So first we show the thing that we were speaking before, Crispin Glover and his replacement on the right side, Jeffrey Wiseman. It's like, why even do the makeup to make him look like Crispin Glover? Like make him just do Crispin Glover immediately. And
Crispin Glover actually, I think, made a very good point about Back to the Future. He didn't like the ending of Back to the Future. Because when Marty comes back from the past, right, his parents are not only, together, but it's like his dad is now very rich, and he got him he bought him the car that Marty wanted. You know what I mean? At the beginning of the film, Marty's dreaming of having this fancy car, and his dad now is super successful and buys him the car. And Crispin Glover's point was like, it's a very sort of materialistic ending of like, if you're wealthy, you're happy sort of thing. And he said it should have just been that the family was, that together and the father had some sort of sense of self-respect. But why are we making it so that the family is now rich and well off and the kid has this car, And Robert Zemeckis really disagreed with his point. But I actually think Crispin Glover makes a good point. I actually think it might have been improved if Marty didn't get the car at the end, because it's kind of a materialistic note to end on. But it's like it's a pretty perfect film. But I do think that he had the point.
Okay, no, it is a bit of a Hollywood ending after all. So just a second, let me find, and here's if you can see it, there's The Myth of the American Sleepover by David Robert Mitchell. IMDb, it is rated 6.3.
I think it's well worth checking out. 6.3 on 10, I guess.
Waiting for the host to allow you to share your screen. Andrea, can I please share my screen so that they don't just see our faces, please? No. Let me dismiss it.
I'll act out the movie. So you can,
yes,
you can
do an interpretative dance of the trailer, basically.
Yeah, I'll draw a face, because there's a lot of like making out and stuff. I'll draw a face on my hand, and you can just imagine you're seeing the trailer.
Andrea telling us that he's watching you. He's got our eyes on you. Okay, so what? So what?
Okay, all right.
allow us to share the screen, please. Screen sharing, sir. Okay,
Mr. Gravino, can we share
the screen? No,
how about yourself? What have you been up to?
I'm also not good with TV series. Is that like I've been watching Shogun and stopped, and now I have to continue it before it ends. I want to try to see Fallout, and there's also and we saw together Civil War, which we're going to discuss later on. Very, I have thoughts. Everyone had thoughts actually yesterday, not just me.
Yes, yeah.
Everyone had thoughts.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to the discussion. Andrea said he's joining back for the discussion?
I should think so, yes. He's going to discuss Rebel Moon as well, like another masterpiece of filmmaking. And anyway, what have you been up to, guys?
Other than that, I'm working on this screening that I'm hosting on the 7th. Of my short films. So I'm screening Son of God, which you guys very kindly talked about. And I'm screening it with a bunch of other short films, short horror and thriller films that I had directed over the years. So it's going to be 7 short films showing at Eden on the 7th. And this week, me and a couple of filmmaker friends are going to be filming some sort of extra secret bits that we're going to place into the screening.
Yes,
so it'll be a bit of a fun surprise.
Extremely fun surprise. I've heard already about it. Let me show you just a second the poster. Bear with me a second, guys. I hope he allowed me to share the screen. So yeah, I think I can share. Can you see it?
Okay. I think I have to rotate my phone 1 sec.
No, it's like waiting for.
Okay, have I gone? Have I disappeared?
He needs to be at his PC. Okay, so basically, guys, go. What did you put a Facebook event about this?
Yes. It's if you just type in "Son of God and Other Strange Tales," you'll find
Son of
it.
God and other strange
tales. You'll find all about it. Basically, it's a bit of a fundraising screening to help me raise some money to send Son of God to more festivals abroad. Because, as you know, they can get expensive each festival. And it's going to be a fun excuse to screen it again, and there'll be me, and there'll be the cast, and there'll be a Q&A. So come, ask me anything. Ask me like whatever dirty questions you like.
And make sure to hound him to be in his next movie and ask him for auditions. He's gonna make you a star, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, But on with the show. Obviously, guys, leave us a like. Share this podcast with all your friends, your families, your mothers, grandfathers, and grandmothers as well. Let us know what you think, and also if you have been watching some interesting movies lately or not, or have you watched Civil War, or have you watched Rebel Moon, and will you be going to Bruce's Son of God and other strange tales? Speaking of other strange tales, also let's mention a bit Video Nasties. What is Video Nasties all about?
Oh yeah, basically Video Nasties. It's a horror film challenge and festival. We do it every year. This is going to be the 4th year now. I'm hearing.
Yeah, Andrea's spying on us.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing myself echoing. Yes.
Yeah. Andrea.
This is like a Video Nasties in itself, like the haunted podcast.
Yes. A haunted podcast. Let's see if I can share it now.
Andrea's spying. Oh, okay. I'm hearing myself echoing.
This is so strange. No. And yeah, you can also hear the. So hey guys, it's the beauty of live. So let's start first again with the main thing, Son of God and Other Strange Things. Let me check if it's possible now to share. And let's see. No, it's not possible, I guess.
It's all right.
No,
just look up the poster online. I mean, you can find it. Son of God and Other Strange Things, 7th of May. And Video Nasties, it's a horror film challenge and festival. Basically, we're looking for original horror film submissions. So if you have a horror film in mind, or if you have a story that you'd like to share, or if you'd like to join the group and meet some collaborators, just look up Video Nasties 2024. Just make a horror short film. It has to be under 15, up to 15 minutes max. And it has to be original, so nothing you've made before. This has to be made fresh and has to premiere at the screening.
Yeah,
and any films that meet the rules will be screened at the cinema. So, if you'd like to try your hand, doesn't matter what experience you have, doesn't matter if you've literally never made anything before, doesn't matter if you're a professional, doesn't matter what equipment you use, just, go out, have fun, collaborate, and, join the Video Nasties 24 group, because there'll be some fun events coming up, there'll be some meetups, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so, and many people are already working on their scripts. Me included.
Yes. I'm really excited to see what you come up with, Franco.
That's one thing, and we're also going to be there at the Ad Lib Podcast, guys, to be judges, like we were last year. So onwards and upwards. And Keith said that a TV series that you should check out is Baby Reindeer, and you're right.
I really want to see that.
Baby Reindeer, the story about an actor who, after an act of kindness, gets stalked by the person who he was kind to, and apparently it's based on a true story. Francesca, friend of the show, Francesca told us about this yesterday as well, that we should check it out, and apparently it's also getting rave reviews with our fellow pricklies as well. But without further ado, and unfortunately, guys, we won't be able to share the screen, but do look out for the news that we're going to discuss. And we're going to start with some of the trailers. Obviously, we cannot show the trailers because we'll get flagged and demonetized. So, okay, only one trailer you shouldn't look out for, guys. Trap and Dark Matter, because Trap basically gives away the whole plot. It's the new Shyamalan horror movie starring Josh Hartnett, who seems to he's getting a renaissance after Lala Dunkirk, I was going to say Oppenheimer, that's the one. And basically it says here that the first trailer on Collider, the first trailer for M. Night Shyamalan's next movie, has been released, teasing the next thrilling story from the director of Knock at the Cabin and Old. Audiences might think they already know what the filmmaker is capable of, but Trap will be different from what has been seen before. And the trailer establishes the premise for the upcoming film, with a father played by Josh Hartnett taking his daughter to a Lady Raven, hint hint, nepotism, Salika Shyamalan concert, which she is a singer, only to find out something much more sinister going on at the venue. That's all I have to say, because this is really, it seems like it's going to be much more into the tension territory, the thriller territory. You've watched the trailer, right?
Yes. Well, are we saying like we're gonna get into the spoiler of it, or shall I keep stum?
Best not to. I think
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, do you think that's the thing? Do you feel that is gonna be the twist? Because I feel Shyamalan must have some control over the marketing, that he knows what he can give away and what he can't.
I
like,
mean,
It's way too big of a blunder if that's like genuinely meant to be the twist.
So, Yella, by the way, said Baby Ranger is excellent, but not an easy watch. What is is any stalking is not an easy watch. And yeah, actually, recently, yeah, you're right about this, because recently some trailers have been really, they're shit. I have to say, like, which was the other one? Ah, yes, we had also said about Speak No Evil. Have you seen the original Speak No Evil?
No.
Do watch it, because it's right up your alley with the weirdness.
Speak No Evil is a recent horror film, or what is it?
It's a Danish-Dutch co-production, and obviously, America decided to make a remake with Mackenzie Davis and James McAvoy. There's also Scoot McNairy.
Okay.
And
Mackenzie Davis of Interstellar, am I thinking right?
No, that's
Mackenzie Foy.
Nope. Mackenzie Davis is San Junipero of Black Mirror.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. And she was in Blade Runner as well.
Yeah. You're speaking of, I forgot the name. Jessica Chastain.
She's a Mackenzie something in Interstellar.
Could be. I don't know. Maybe the small girl. Anyway, don't watch the trailer for Trap, and hopefully Shyamalan recently with Knock at the Cabin. I haven't seen Knock at the Cabin. Have you?
Yes. I think I've seen everything of Shyamalan, apart from like his very, very first two films before Sixth Sense. I have a lot of time for Shyamalan. I'll watch anything. He did two films called Praying with Anger, which was like a student film when he was like, I think he might have been like 19 or 20, and it was about him going to India and kind of discovering his kind of like spiritual roots. It was a very much like a sort of nasal gazy sort of student film. At least I've heard. I haven't seen it. And then he made another one called Wide Awake, which was a comedy with, I think, Rosie O'Donnell was in it. About a kid that I think it was a boarding school or a private school, something like that. And then he made The Sixth Sense, and that was just kind of like, that's when he became Shyamalan. Like,
yeah, the Shyamalan we know, and love to hate,
and love and hate. But like,
yeah.
I like this kind of like, I think he's bounced back a lot since the nadir of like Last Airbender. Like I really enjoyed Split. I thought Split was really good.
And Glass, was it Glass?
Glass was like the third in the trilogy. So Split was the sequel. Spoilers. Split was the sequel to Unbreakable. And then Glass was like where those two characters meet. Glass was a bit of a letdown in my opinion.
Okay.
I felt it was like it had a very anticlimactic ending, I thought.
Istra. But it seems he's fighting his footing again, because from the trailer, it seems like it seems solidly directed, and also I'm looking forward to see Josh Hartnett back in being the protagonist. But enough about Trap. Speaking of other to other trailer too. Avoid looking is Dark Matter, something really up my alley. It's with Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Connelly facing multiple realities in the first Dark Matter trailer. It's going to be an Apple TV Plus series, with the first 2 episodes arriving on Wednesday, May 8th. And Collider says that Apple TV Plus has just unveiled the trailer for Dark Matter, a science fiction thriller series adapted from Blake Crouch's critically acclaimed novel. The limited series, spanning 9 episodes, features a star-studded cast including Joel Edgerton, Jennifer Connelly, Alice Braga, Jimmy Simpson, Dio Kenny, and Oaks Fegley. Scheduled for a global premiere on May 8, 2024, the show will launch its first 2 episodes on Apple TV Plus, with subsequent episodes to be released weekly every Wednesday until June 26. I'm really getting back to this kind of weekly schedule. What do you think about the series having weekly schedules, not having to binge, basically?
I mean, it's like it forces you to, take things bit by bit. It forces patience, I guess.
Yeah, it's like rereading a chapter.
Sometimes you need a week, to build up the hype for the next one and to digest each episode.
Yeah, Shogun has been like that. It's like reading a novel, basically. And a bit on the story over here. Dark Matter introduces us to Jason Dessen, played by Edgerton, a college physics professor in Chicago, who once had the potential for a groundbreaking research career. Opting instead for a content-familiar life with his wife and son, Dessen's ordinary existence is upended one night following an abduction by a masked stranger. He awakens to find himself in an alternate reality where his life has changed significantly. He's unmarried, childless, and has achieved professional success. Anyway, but obviously this is up my alley because I really like this kind of, it says here, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics of nearly infinite parallel worlds. I am actually, if I have to suggest a great series, is Counterpart with J.K. Simmons in the main role. Excellent series, which, by the way, is also done by the creator of Shogun, Justin Marks.
Okay.
I suggest you watch it. If sci-fi is your thing, Dark Matter is something to watch.
It looks like a sort of Twilight Zone kind of thing, and I tend to like those sort of films that keep you guessing.
There's also, have you seen the Twilight? It was the Twilight Zone, right? When Jordan Peele tried to.
Yes, Jordan Peele did a series. I didn't see those. Did you?
I saw an episode here and there, but didn't continue it. We are so bad at TV series. Sorry, guys. We have to get the worst to TV, guys. We're all about movies.
I don't understand how everyone has the time. I don't know. Everyone seems to be able to binge everything. And I'm amazed. Yeah.
It depends. It depends what you have plans on the weekend as well. But anyway, onwards and upwards again. Another series which seems like going to be right up my alley because it's based on one of my favorite books by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, is 100 Years of Solitude. We've had the first trailer where Aureliano Babilonia faces certain death in first 100 Years of Solitude trailer. The Spanish language series will drop sometime later this year. It's a Netflix series, which they have unveiled the first teaser of it. It's directed by Alex Garcia Lopez and Laura Mora. The series is built to be as the streamer's most ambitious project in the Latin American market. And the brief teaser only hints at the surreal tone of the series set in the little land of Macondo. To watch this trailer, it doesn't spoil anything. 100 Years of Solitude is a meandering magic realist book, and I feel that they hit the spirit of the book. I don't know if they're gonna manage to, if they go, hopefully they don't go to the melodramatic. It doesn't look like a soap opera, but from the sneak peek that we had, it seems like they managed to capture the spirit of the book.
What's the story like? What's the kind of setup of this?
basically, it's about the Buendia family, which confronts a curse, madness, and impossible love. Let me tell you more about it. Just a second. Let me find the synopsis. Oh, here it is. And basically, the book is a sprawling epic, almost like not to take off a book, about the Buendia family, and it starts from it goes from one timeline to another. But for example, I remember one particular where the 100 Years of Solitude refers to the patriarch of the Buendia family being tied to a tree and spent the rest of 100 years there, alive, somewhere between the living and the dead. Again, I'm paraphrasing. I haven't read the book, but it was also, again, it's magical realism. There's some, even the place Macondo is not real, but it's based a lot on, if I'm not mistaken, the times when Latin America was exploited for the banana fruit, basically.
Okay.
There's lots, so it's going to be surreal. It says here, actually, it draws influences from various cultures and features an ensemble cast and a rich tapestry of love and destiny.
Which films would you rank as like magic realist? If you had to say like this is a magic realist film, would like Pan's Labyrinth be magic realist, or is that just fantasy?
That is more onto fantasy. I was gonna say there was a George Miller movie, 1,000 Years. What was it called?
Oh yeah, 1,000 Years of not of Solitude.
No, not of Solitude.
That was another one of the genie, of the Jinn.
Yes, of the Jinn.
1,000 Years of Longing or something.
Yes, 1,000 Years of Longing. 3,000 Years of Longing.
3,000 Years of Longing.
Yeah.
What did you think of that movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
I found it too all over the place.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it. Visually, it's really impressive, and just in terms of like its imagination. But it's like one of those films that you feel needs someone coming into the editing room and coming go like, okay, like let's really like tighten this up a bit. It's indulgent, I think. It's a bit too indulgent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think another magical realist movie would be Dream Scenario, I would say. I don't know if you've watched Dream
I really want to see that one. No, but I saw the directors of Sick of It, right?
Yes.
Or Sick of Myself.
Sick of Myself, yeah, Sick of Myself.
Sick of Myself was like my favorite movie of that year, I think.
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
I really loved that film. Yeah,
Dream
so I want to see Dream Scenario.
No, Dream Scenario, I enjoyed it. There are quite some good laughs, great horror moments as well, funnily enough. Nick Cage, excellent in the role as well.
But and Ari Aster produced that, I think.
Yes, Ari Aster produced that as well.
Yeah.
And now, something quite different from Ari Aster and 100 Years of Solitude is the Transformers 1 trailer. Again, unfortunately, we cannot share the screen. Transformers 1 basically shows that it's an animated movie this time, after Bumblebee and what was it, Rise of the Beasts. And basically, there's Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson voicing the robots. There's also Brian Tyree Henry voicing a key player in the film. And we have here that it's in a genuinely impressive PR stunt. Paramount Pictures successfully premiered the trailer for their latest spectacle, Transformers 1 in the vast expanse of space. Or just a south the stratosphere if you prefer. Starring Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson, the animated film takes us back to Cybertron, the home planet of the Transformers. This story stays true to the origins of the comic books and television series which preceded it, where our main characters include the most acclaimed Transformers, Optimus Prime, and Megatron, who begin the story as friends. Audiences can see what happened to these characters and how they became enemies. Inevitably, this also explains how the Autobots and the Decepticons began their war. Now, as far as I can say about the trailer, I'm not bothered by the animation as such. I think it's taking that kind of toy mechanics almost, but not really, like the Lego where had a bit of stop motion, and there's just the slightest hint of stop motion. And
But is there stop motion? I ain't get it. I ain't feel any stop motion in this.
No, just a hint. Just a hint, where it's like it shows that they're like based on toys, so to speak. They don't look smooth, extra smooth. They look like dolls. And secondly, I am not a fan of the wink wink nudge humor. There's lots of that in the humor. It's cares
feels very like self-mocking, kind of like, I know you're smarter than this, but let's all just make a joke about it,
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. It's become tiring, that kind of humor. Like, I prefer give me more humor, like something more akin to Dream Scenario, for example, or Sick of It, most probably. Something more. Not it's because now it's become a sort of lazy humor.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's kind of depressing that we're still getting Transformer movies, man. I think
it's franchise, baby. Franchise.
I know, but like, we're really not creating any new kind of iconic characters at all. We're just recycling shit over and over. I mean, God, we had like a Ghostbusters, I think, sequel this year. Like, we need to move on, Madonna, and create some new stuff. Like, I find it so frustrating when they just
like Star Wars.
Oh, forget that. Yeah, totally, man. Just like, I mean, at least, I don't know, Rebel Moon is getting like some bad reception. At least Zack Snyder's creating something new, as hacky as it is. And like, basically it's Star Wars, but at least it's something that didn't exist before. I don't think there was never
it's very look, it's very derivative. Because it's not it's not like Monkey Man. I haven't seen Monkey Man, but Monkey Man is like okay, it gets John Wick and doesn't go John Wick with it. It creates a different story, and there's a whole different background, to the point that if you call it the Indian John Wick, you'd be doing it at a service. And anyway, speaking of something new and fresh, Deadpool and Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman.
God, again, man, like, Jesus Christ, we really need to create a new character. It's like, if you look at like what's playing at the cinema, man, it's like, you could have come from the 80s, and basically it's the same kind of characters you've seen again and again since then. You know what I mean?
No, if anything, and then we'll discuss it later on. There was what's it called? Civil War did try to do something new.
Yeah, no, that is something fresh. Finally, there was a new story, an original script.
Yeah, I tried to do something,
and it paid off.
Nah, let's keep that to the.
I mean, box office wise, at least it paid off. I mean, we can argue whether it's a good. I mean, it's actually doing well, which is reassuring.
True. Box office wise, it was. It's followed closely by Abigail. And we have here, Andrea, who says that Monkey Man was a fun revenge action flick. Unfortunately, once it gets into the political part of the story, it slows down way too much. In fact, he told me it's like a whiplash when it slows down. But Yella says that she's okay with Deadpool and Wolverine, but only if they become lovers. I mean, yeah. I would be happy with that, Yella. Coming from the guy, wait. Was that Joe Andrea who said he didn't like the gay love story in Last of Us? Or was it you? Because if it comes from you, that's really something, huh? Anyway, we have nothing against the love story in Last of Us. That's actually one of my favorite TV episodes right now. And However, speaking of something new, I want to finish with this series done by a Maltese Australian. It's speaking of fresh and new, it is quite fresh and new. Wait, just a second. Similar to James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender in X-Men First Class. Andrea was that. No comment. Caught in 4K, Andrea. So.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I saw the Transformers one. I was like, what does this remind me of? Like, friends who will eventually become enemies. And then I was like, yes, First Class.
No, but first class was good. I enjoyed First Class a lot, even the set pieces, and again, it's really sort of making it's really not taking risks. This idea of even I don't know if you liked Cruella, but I really didn't like Cruella. They tried to make this.
I enjoyed Cruella.
But they tried to make this villain be like, okay, she doesn't hate dogs now. No,
yeah, that bugged me. I mean, at the end, there's like a bit where spoilers for Cruella, if any audience wants to see it. But there was a bit at the end where someone says, "You didn't actually kill the dogs, did you?" And she goes, "No, of course I did." I was like, "You're Cruella. You kill fucking dogs." I can take it that the hero of the story becomes like evil and starts killing dogs. That's the point, Cruella's a monstrous woman, They
retconned. Oh my God! Andrea says Cruella was great. Nope, it wasn't.
I'm with Andrea. I think it was definitely a fun movie. I just do have an issue with this thing where if a character is your film's protagonist, they have to be good or likable or whatever. Like. You can have a protagonist who's an absolute monster. It's fine,
You can have
take it.
You can have an anti-hero. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kids can take it. And finishing off with last but not least, the series by Maltese Australian Ryan Kauke called Grain Stains. This is a very particular series because it's all on TikTok, and each episode is 1 minute long. If I'm not mistaken, there's 8. It's going to be 18 minutes. And basically, it's a horror dark fantasy drama premiering Monday exclusively on TikTok. And just to give you a bit of hopefully we can also have the director on the Ad Lib Podcast to interview him. And Ryan Kauke over here.
So he's Australian, Maltese-born Australian.
Yeah, he's a Maltese Australian, and he's making. Funnily enough, this story is loosely based on his childhood. You can find it's actually 15 1-minute episodes released in October.
What's there 15 1-minute episodes, man? That sounds good.
Yeah. And
low time commitment, man. That's what I want.
Funny enough, it's set in Western Sydney in 1995. Greystone is a neighborhood in Sydney. Tells the story of 11-year-old Samantha and her older brother Marius. While visiting their Maltese grandmother during school holidays, the siblings discover a dark family secret and encounter Il Haddila, a sinister creature from Maltese folklore connected to it. With their Nana leading the way, the family must come together to fight the creature and its curse. So
there's gonna be a Haddila off.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, what? But
Grindhouse double feature.
Yes. But happily enough, my approach is different. So at least I'm saying. But I'm looking forward to check what's going to be like. And it's funny how Australia has more respect to Maltese artists than Malta has about it. So do check it out on TikTok.
But what did you think of what was your... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say basically it's already out on TikTok. Do guys check it out. Okay? And
what was your thoughts on the Deadpool Wolverine thing?
My eyes rolled. I could see the back of my head with how much my eyes rolled when I heard the Madonna song. It's like I'm so sick and tired of this trend in trailers to grab a well-known song and reinterpret it in a trailer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a hard R, apparently, hard R rated. I was gonna joke if Joe was there, it's like, is Marvel coming back? And Joe was probably would be saying a definite no. It's directed by Sean Levy, and Sean Levy, if I'm not mistaken, he had some good episodes on Stranger Things. I mean, the action looks good.
But his movies are very mediocre, Sean Levy. I mean, like Night at the Museum, and that's Sean Levy.
They're pretty mid, yes, they're pretty mid. But for kids, it's fine. Again,
Last Deadpool was David Leitch, no?
If I'm not mistaken, Miller, Tim Miller, if I'm not mistaken.
He did the first one, I think. And then David Leitch did the second. And then David Leitch went on the Bullet Train, and he's kind of like...
Let me check.
Well, I mean, he has a very put-together style, David Leitch. It's like very kind of Tarantino-esque mixed with like... really over-the-top action.
You're right. It is David Leitch. Deadpool 2 is David Leitch. I mean, even this one has over-the-top action. It's almost cartoony, so to speak, with its violence. The last Deadpool. Honestly, though, maybe I'll watch it on streaming, not in cinema. Depends if there's nothing else to see in cinema. I'm having Marvel fatigue as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards. Speaking again of fresh and new, Old Boy, the English language TV series. but wait.
I mean, at this point, like, let's all stand up, put our hands on our hearts, and just applaud Zack Snyder for his daring to create something new.
In a sense, yes, in a sense. But let's wait for what Andrea thinks about Rebel Moon. In the meantime, we have the Old Boy English language TV series in the works from Park Chan-wook and Lionsgate. Better than the Spike Lee, for sure. Wait, does the Spike Lee version exist or not?
Yes. With Josh Brolin.
No.
We all had a bad collective dream where it was one of those weird psychological phenomenons where we all just dreamt there was a version with Josh Brolin.
Yes, that's a Mandela effect. Definitely a Mandela effect. Obviously, do check out the original one, visceral thriller. Man, I miss, I want something like Old Boy, the 2003 Old Boy. It's very visceral, very, like, somehow, it is, despite its violence, is very life-affirming. I think it's also going in the direction of Parasite, because Parasite also has a series in the works.
Really?
Shit. But with Bong Joon-ho and, if I'm not mistaken, Adam McKay being in the helm as well.
Man, that sounds bad. I don't know why they have to touch these like perfect movies. Like, I remember there was a point where they were saying they were going to do a Truman Show series.
Lalo.
And I was like, no, please don't. Please leave it alone. Like, you don't get worried that these things are like they push their luck too far and they kind of ruin the original, or does it not affect you?
My opinion about it is like, why they don't do something new with it? They reinterpret it, or like if anything, I don't understand why bad movies are not remade. Bad movies which had potential of being great movies, but because of marketing or something else, they ended up being complete flops. So why not remake them, improve on their story,
Because they just want the name, the brand recognition, They know there's a built-in audience already, so it's like already the marketing's being done by having that popular film, out there. Like
No,
if they had to announce a remake of Tank Girl, you know what I mean? Like everyone just knows Tank Girl was either they don't know Tank Girl or they know Tank Girl was a big bomb, you know? So
no, but
it wouldn't like
Tangirl had the cult following as well, or Donnie Darko.
very
Yesterday was
niche.
of Donnie Darko, for example.
That's a brilliant movie. Like there's no need to touch Donnie Darko.
They did.
Like
with
I agree
Samantha
that they
Darko.
should be what?
They did touch it with Samantha Darko, though.
Yeah. But I mean, I do agree that they should be looking at films that like need that improvement. You know what I mean? But that's not how they think at all.
And if anything, I'm also like, we have so much stories to tell. My brother also went like holy hell, another, I don't know which movie it was. Like Mean Girls. I don't know why they made Mean Girls into a musical. Why? What? It's a product of its time. It's like telling me
like they find loopholes though, because then because I think Mean Girls was like a Broadway show, and that was a big Broadway hit. And so then they kind of, under the guise of like, we're not remaking the film, we're adapting the show, guys, don't worry. But it gives them a kind of loophole to remake the film, essentially. Like one of the things that really pissed me off was Doctor Sleep. You've seen Doctor Sleep?
I haven't seen.
Basically, when everyone was talking about like horror remakes, right? And they were saying like, obviously, The Shining is sacred text. You can't remake The Shining. The Shining is like a whole, like, don't touch it. Don't touch The Shining, you know?
Right.
And suddenly Stephen King wrote this book, Doctor Sleep, which was like a follow-up to The Shining, but it didn't have anything to do with the Overlook Hotel. It was just about the kid from The Shining grown up, right?
Yeah.
And so instantly, like, the studio snaps it up. And then they make a movie in development. But they're like, listen, don't worry, we're not making a sequel to The Shining. We're adapting this book. It's okay. It's fine. And then the film, as the film was getting closer and closer to release, it's like the poster comes out and it's like The Shining. Then you see, the carpet of the Overlook Hotel. And by the end, the film was basically The Shining 2. All the Stanley Kubrick iconography, all of it. And that film, like, people like that movie, but for me, Madonna, by the end, it was like being trapped in a Shining themed theme park where like actors dressed up as characters come out and go, woo! And then you run to the next room and woo! And I just thought, like, man, they just found some loophole to sneak in a Shining sequel. And, no one's calling them out on it.
Even now I'm just perusing an article on Variety about the new Mufasa directed by Barry Jenkins. Like, again, why remake The Lion King? And it's like, but then you see that it's powered to a staggering 1.66 billion globally, despite mixed reviews. I think it's become very, very, very too much on money talks and numbers talk. I'm kind of. Which is pissing off, to be honest. I'd prefer something more, less numbers, more talent, and more heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and not only
especially
that,
from someone like Barry Jenkins. Like, okay, oh no, man, who's the guy who directed? Like, Rob Marshall made like Mufasa. I'd be like, okay, he's the guy that they call for the Shameless remake, But Barry Jenkins, man, like, come on. Like, unless, I don't know, like, I don't want to judge things before I see it. Maybe he has an incredible vision, and maybe this is his way of doing his Hollywood epic. So I can't say it's bad until I see it, but it's just the least exciting prospect for me. It's a second Lion King live action movie.
Not only that, I also saw a comparison on the Corridor Crew. Shout out to the Corridor Crew as always. I saw a comparison with the original death scene of Scar to the new death of Scar. It really lacked the magic. I don't know if we're seeing everything
totally.
from rose-colored glasses, but somehow it felt really like spoon-fed the second time round.
Yeah.
and there was
you're talking about
that,
like the difference between the animated film and the live action version.
yes. The live action felt a bit.
Oh man, the live action version was like it was all I can say about the live action Lion King, and I've been venting about this movie since it came out because the original classic, the original animated film is like a cornerstone of my love of movies. It's like at the very foundation of my love of films. The Lion King remake, all I can say is it's an impressive tech demo. That's it.
Yes,
it's
for
a
sure.
very
That's
impressive tech demo. If they screened it at D23 and said, this is what we can do with CGI, fine. I'm
Fine.
impressed. In fact, the first trailer is amazing. The first trailer where you see basically they recreate the Circle of Life in photo, really. You're like, wow. But it only works because none of the animals in that sequence talk or emote. They're just like flying to something. As soon as animals have to actually talk and act, you realize they've made a terrible mistake because animals' faces just don't emote. A lion just does not emote, and they stuck to these David Attenborough Planet Earth rules of everything has to look like a real animal. But literally, it's like he's singing, I'm going to be the greatest king. It's like, his just face just remains the same. It's just his mouth moves up and down. And it's like such a basic thing of like animals just can't give you a performance, like emote at all,
No, it's I think they erred on the side of realism for this movie, to be honest. So, by the way, Andrea said Cruella was great, but Mean Girls was okay, and he'll be joining us soon for his Rebel Moon review. And to close off the Mufasa thing and then move on to the crime of the Netflix true crime documentary drama, Ben Jenkins here is quoted by Variety as saying that you are probably wondering what is the director of Moonlight doing talking to me about an 8-quadrant tentpole legacy IP massive film. And I got to say, the thought was very strange to me at first as well, but oh my god, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and I'm so glad I made this picture. So we stand to be corrected, always, as always. But
I wonder if he's saying that from his from his new yacht.
No. Most probably, there's Bob Iger with the snipers. Like, if you don't say this shit, I'm gonna.
They released like a terrorist video of like Barry Jenkins, like
family
gunmen on.
Hey guys, how's it going so far?
So far, so good. We're going to do the last one, the Netflix thingy, where basically true crime is no longer true, apparently, because they may have views, not may have views. Listen, journalists, for fuck's sake, do your fucking homework. And this is going to be my rant about Civil War. This is not may have used AI-generated images of a real person. They did use AI-generated images, because if you look at her 2 hands and also some of the details in the background, they are messed up as fuck. This is basically the documentary about what Jennifer did. And don't tell me may have used or may have not used. Like, look at these fingers. Can you share the screen, please, Andrea?
Yes, it's coming up now. 1 second. All right. It should be on. Yep, there we go.
Like if you I have to go down because there's a zoomed in image.
So that's the zoomed in image. That's the fingers looking very wonky and very AI generated.
You think that? Oh yeah, no, I'm seeing it.
Clearly manipulated by
I thought it was the distance between the 2 fingers that was like throwing me off, and I was wondering if I could do that. No, okay.
No. It's I don't know for what purpose, especially if it's a documentary, There's also a strange gap in her cheek, but I think what the critic journalist Karen K.H.O. said, Karen K.H.O. said that the Netflix documentary is an example of the true crime industry complex catering to an all-consuming and endless appetite for violent content. Netflix potential use of AI, not potential, Jesus, of AI manipulated imagery as a storytelling tool reinforce that argument. We had this argument also about Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen it, Bruce?
No, I haven't seen, but I've heard your argument about it. That they might have used props that were AI generated.
It's not props. It's there were two entire titles that were genuinely like, again, it's all in the fingers, where basically the skeleton's fingers and ribs all over the place. And we couldn't understand. You have someone like David Dalmatian as a protagonist. Couldn't you have afforded a graphic designer? But to conclude, guys, tell us if we missed any news. Tell us if we missed any trailers. And now back to our teacher. Welcome back, sir. Tell us about what you think of Rebel Moon.
All right, guys. So good to be back. I have around 15 minutes. Before I actually get into the review, I just wanted to bring up Bruce's event. But the problem is, I don't think oh, yes, I have Microsoft Edge, Facebook on my Microsoft Edge. So, Bruce, you have a Facebook event, right, for it?
Yes. I had already
what's it called?
Basically.
Yeah, I know. Just share it on screen. What's it called, Bruce?
It's basically Son of God and Other Strange Tales. Just to say again, guys, to any new listeners, it's a screening of my horror and thriller short films. And the idea is, like, I'm hoping to raise some money to send Son of God to more festivals. And so I'm screening Son of God. I'm screening a bunch of others, 7 short films in total. But they're quite short films. So all in all, it's like an 80-minute event, something like that. And there's going to be a Q&A as well with me and the cast of Son of God. And so I'm screening Son of God, I'm screening Amy, I'm screening The Critic, I'm screening Lake Como, I'm screening a couple of others. I'm not sure if you've seen Mummy's Boy and The Soapbox and The Inner Voice. And all of them are kind of weird, sort of Twilight Zone-y, horror-y stories. It'll be on May the 7th, 8:30 p.m. And I really hope you guys can join.
Well, I'm definitely joining. I already booked the ticket.
Fantastic.
And
there'll be some secret bits that I'm going to be filming this week.
Good stuff. So make sure you go onto the Eden website and buy tickets for Tuesday, 7th May 2024 at 20:30 for a fun night of horror short. They're all horror, Bruce.
The horror thriller sort of things. Yeah. All of them are somewhat weird, you know. I don't think there's any
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, who's doing the Q&A, by the way? I mean,
that I will be announcing. I'll be announcing it.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's not us, Andrea. I know he broke up with that. No.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I'll be abroad for like 5 days before that. I'm gonna be dead. So I'll just sit there. Hopefully I don't fall asleep. Jet lag. Is there going to be any drink?
I can wake you up intermittently if you like. It's a special service I'll offer.
Like you missed the shot.
Spray, like one of those sprays they give for cats and dogs.
Any
drinks after, Bruce?
Yeah, I should be. It's a good idea actually. I haven't actually thought about it, but I'll put a post up or something. Yes. We should do some drinks afterwards.
Definitely. And let's get into the reviews. So, viewers and listeners, I'm just going to be here for like 10 more minutes. I'm going to give you my quick review for Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, which I had the misfortune of watching this weekend. I watched it on Friday when it released. It is what it is. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm going to bring it on screen.
Masterpiece.
It is.
Thanks, guys.
Masterpiece.
Whiskey Bruce, said Mr. Richard Starkey.
Whiskey?
Oh, I'm all in. I'm all in there.
Oh, definitely, man. There. Let's get some whiskey shots going.
I am all in for that. Hello, Richard, by the way. Hope you're doing good. Good to have you here on the podcast. So let's get into Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. So, as some of you might know, if you've been watching the podcast for a long time, you'll know that Rebel Moon Part 1 was one of my favorite movies of last year. No, actually, it was in my bottom 5. I forgot where it finished in my bottom 5. I think it was fourth from the bottom, like fourth worst movie of 2023. And I watch a lot of films, so to be in the bottom 5, that's like a real disaster. Anyways, I'm just gonna start off. You might be surprised what I'm going to say now. I might shock you, but I'm a little surprised by how much hate this film is getting. I'm surprised by how much hate this film is getting, to be honest with you, because I mean, I was all in for the hate for the first one, because the first one was an absolute disaster. Like screenplay-wise, the screenplay for the first one was an absolute disaster. And that's not to say that the second one has a good screenplay. Screenplay is just as bad. But this time, the story is at least, feels a little, I wouldn't say grounded, but it's set in one place, one location. It's set on the village they're trying to protect. And it's basically the second half of Seven Samurai, where the samurai have been gathered together and they're all joined together, ready to fight the Imperium. And I've heard some of the reactions. I mean, I try not to hear reactions, but I mean, when you scroll on Twitter, there's no controlling it. And I've seen people talking about how this is worse than the first one. And I'm quite shocked. Now, again, to be clear, the screenplay for Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, is some of the worst writing I've ever seen portrayed on screen. The characterization that goes on in this film. There is one scene, only one scene where there is any kind of characterization in this film. You have 6 of the seven samurai sit down on a table, and each of the characters gets 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes max, in which they give exposition about how the Imperium destroyed their house, their family, killed their family, how they destroyed their kingdom. And it's literally 3 minutes exposition. What about you? Why are you fighting the Imperium? So I am fighting the Imperium because they destroyed my kingdom. I was supposed to be next in line to become king, but the Imperium invaded our kingdom, killed my family, and now I hate the Imperium. So what about you? They came to our town. They're doing something similar to what they're doing here. They attacked our village, killed my whole family, killed my whole village, and now I hate the Imperium. And what about you? Yes, they came in. I was a farmer. They killed all my animals, killed all my family, and now I hate the Imperium. And it's literally 6-7 characters, 2-3 minutes each, giving exposition about why they hate the Imperium. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, I understand why Disney didn't want Zack Snyder to make their next Star Wars. If Disney have been making numerous disastrous decisions, that at least was not one of them. And I would like to know if any executives actually watch this film, because even if you know nothing about film and you watch this film, even if you know nothing, this is the first film you're watching, and you're a suit at Netflix, you're going to notice that something is wrong with the storytelling and with the characterization in this film. You're going to notice that something is completely off there, right? Anyways, so onto the film itself. I didn't hate this film. As horrible as the writing was, it's pretty much 45 minutes of slow motion harvesting of grain, basically. It's like grain porn. Like they are literally slow motion.
Sounds like some kind of Hungarian art house film. Just harvesting of grain, like Bellator, like a Bellator movie. Harvesting of grain for 6 hours. I'm surprised it's so that Spartan
45 minutes. 45 minutes, guys. Stop. 45 minutes. Them literally, okay, let's harvest the grain because the grain is very important. This Imperium, which dominates the whole universe, really needs the grain in this one village. They will die without the grain in this one village. And in fact, they harvest the grain. And then they use it as a defense. They put it around the buildings, and the Imperium officers are like, no, we can't shoot on the buildings because there is grain on the buildings, and we need that grain. We depend on that grain. We're going to die of hunger. This bloody Imperium, which can bring people back to life after dying, they have the technology to bring people back to life, but they don't have the technology for grain. They really need that grain. So, like I said, this screenplay, the storytelling, the plot devices in this are an absolute disaster. The situations that some of the characters end up, they're like 100 soldiers pointing their guns at them. They're standing out in the open, and none of those 100 soldiers are hitting them. I mean, I'm a big fan of Star Wars, right? And obviously there's a whole meme of the stormtroopers. But here it's done even worse, because at least have them, place characters in some kind of cover, at least give them some way not to be hit. But here you've got 100 soldiers pointing their gun at 2 persons in the open, and all the bullets are not one bullet hits them. Not one bullet hits them. And it's a total mess. There's Furiosa in this as well. There's Dollar Club Furiosa in this as well. Who's if you had to tell me who are the characters, I'll tell you there was Dollar Club Furiosa, because I watched the Furiosa trailer.
Wish Furiosa. I was gonna say we have Mom, I want 7 Samurai. We have 7 Samurai at home.
Yeah, and then there's Mom.
It does sound very like, you can copy my homework, but just change a few things.
Yeah, but change them and try to
change like spice into grain, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the planet should swap, they should mix their ingredients. You can get some spicy bread. If the Doom planet gives them the spice, they give them the grain.
In Seven Samurai, because it's been a while since I watched it. Why did the bandits want to attack the village? Do you remember? Or was it just they just wanted to attack the village? I forgot what the motivation was for the bandits in Seven Samurai. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I haven't seen Seven Samurai.
All right. Franco, do you remember why the band? Anyways, it's not that important. Huh? Anyways, to conclude my review. The action. As long as Zack Snyder is not indulging in his insane slow motion with, half the first movie was slow motion. The action is actually decent in this. Forgetting all the soldiers standing out in the open and not being hit. I mean, I can close an eye there sometimes. It's actually, there's some decent action here. And I really would like to say props to the CGI artists on this. They did some amazing work on the design of the armor, for example. The armor is insane. The armor looks really good. There's some great visuals. There's some really, really, really good visuals in this. There's some really, really good visuals in Rebel Moon Part 2. The action is quite fun, quite enjoyable. You've got someone like Jimon Hunsu, and you give him nothing, literally nothing to do. Nothing. No big speeches, no, emotional moments, nothing at all. And it's a real, real pity. It's a real, real, real pity, which is unfortunate. But I can tell you that the action is actually watchable, which is why when I was deciding on a score, Bruce, yesterday we discussed this. If you have some fun with a film, would you give it a decent rating? The film is terrible, but you had fun.
But it's not in a way, because you had fun with it. You know what I mean?
But the screenplay is horrible. The characterization is
But that doesn't matter. If you enjoyed it, then
listen,
it's not terrible. Bruce. You know what I mean?
Bruce, this is not like we were saying about Madam Web. It's not bad that it's good, kind of bad. Was anybody's mom called Martha? Which apparently Joe and Andrea loved that their mom's name was Martha.
Oh, I'm a big defender of Batman v Superman. I'm a big defender of Batman v Superman. I'm a big defender of that film.
Batman v Superman is one of the most tedious films that I've seen at the cinema.
Really?
The film was so
epic, man. It's so
boring.
epic. You found it boring.
Yes. Just so self-serious and just so long, and it was like walking through mud, that movie. And I mean, obviously it's not my taste, you know what I mean? I'm not a superhero guy. I just don't go into that kind of stuff. I don't get into it. But yeah, even against other superhero films, I found it quite a chore. But that film has like such a cult. I mean, Zack Snyder, for all his haters, man, he has like a real following still. Like for some people, his stuff really works. You know what I mean?
For sure. But,
I mean, I hated 300, but people fucking love 300.
No,
I really
no,
couldn't
wait,
stand
wait.
300.
I
I
love
really
it.
couldn't stand it.
I
No,
love
Batman
300
v
as well.
Superman's better than 300. I'll say
What?
that. Yes.
No, 300 is
no,
my
no.
favorite movies. I'm being
No,
serious.
I mean, I really couldn't stand 300. And I remember at the time at school, everyone was loving 300. You know, like,
300
like,
defined my personality when it came out. I was literally
That's-
300 guy.
no.
I was a 300 guy. The guy is like, this is.
So you have a taste for like, yeah. So for you, Snyder, his stuff
be a
kind of
fan.
works generally. No, like
I love the Superman one now. What's it called?
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. I was a big fan. Of Man of Steel.
I liked Man of Steel. Actually, I liked more than I should. I don't. It's a sort of a guilty pleasure for me, Man of Steel. That it tried to do
Sucker
something.
Punch, I didn't like. Sorry, Franco, finish off.
No. Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch was too much. He is very stylistic. That there's nothing about. But he's leaning too much on style. Guy Ritchie went through that. In fact, I don't know if you ever seen. There was this called something with Jason Statham. It was so visually stunning, but then story-wise, what I don't understand what the fuck he was saying with it. Guy Ritchie.
I think
Go for it,
I
go
think
for it.
Watchmen is good. I think but that's because it sticks so religiously to the Alan Moore graphic novel.
Oh, Watchmen.
It's like you can't
great.
really go wrong. You know what I mean?
I
I think
really
it's a good adaptation, but because it's a super faithful adaptation. But his actual stuff, I just don't. Dawn of the Dead was okay, and the zombie one. What was the recent zombie one?
The one which is set in the same world.
In Las Vegas.
The one in Las Vegas with God.
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. That's the one.
Army of the Dead. I enjoyed.
fine. That was
I had a
fine.
really good time with Army of the Dead
That was fine.
because
some
it
of the
was
camera
taking
work was
itself
weird.
seriously.
Yes. Some of the camera work was weird in that. I found it. But the visuals were decent.
Yeah.
It was good fun. I gave it a 3 out of 5, I believe. That
I speaking of because I mentioned Guy Ritchie, and speaking of fresh and new, apparently there's going to be an Aladdin 2 as well.
Oh, wow. Great. That's what we need.
Oh my god. I mean, once again, like, you know, I can complain about Zack Snyder, but at least he's making something sort of new.
No,
I mean, that's the issue with
I-
this film. Franco, I conclude the review.
Sorry.
Guys continue because I need to set up soon. That's the thing with this film. You would think that given the freedom to do whatever he wants, because clearly Netflix here gave him the freedom to do whatever he wants, right? And he just rips off so many things. Rips off Star Wars, rips off Seven Samurai, rips off Star Trek, rips off. It's a real pity because I think Zack Snyder could have created a new, fresh world. He could have created an interesting world which doesn't rip off Star Wars and doesn't rip off Seven Samurai. I think he could have, if he worked with actual good writers. Unfortunately, the reality is he wanted to write this himself, and he is not a capable writer. To conclude, there was one character I did quite like, who was the antagonist. It's Ed Skrein. I forgot the name of his character, but Ed Skrein, whose character was horribly written, but he has such a screen presence. The villain, exactly. He's such an intimidating screen presence that he really pulls it off, even though the writing for his character is ludicrous and at times hilarious. But his screen presence is really impressive. And I contrast that with the screen presence by the protagonist, by the hero of the story, who's on screen right now, Sofia Boutella, her character, who is very bland, very, very bland, has no screen presence at all, which is surprising because Sofia Boutella is not a bad actress.
I'm trying to remember what I've seen her in. I'm sure I must have seen her in something.
In what's its name?
Kingsman.
Kingsman, yes. Kingsman. There's also
Kingsman, Climax. I haven't watched. She was in
Argyle. Oh, Climax. Oh, that was brilliant. Climax.
So
that
good.
Was a fantastic movie. She was fantastic in that.
Yeah, which is why I'm really surprised. But I think Sofia Boutella is the kind of actress who needs a good director working with her, a good actor-director working with her, a director who's brings out the best out of actors. And unfortunately, I don't think Zack Snyder is that kind of director. He definitely can, knows how to shoot a shot. He knows how to screen action, as long as he's not fixating on slow motion. He has some decent lighting at times. Visuals are his strong point. You can see the costumes are interesting costumes. They're not bland. The spaceships are interestingly designed. The armor looks great. This is the kind of world I would like to play an RPG in. This big world RPG where you can travel around, discover different kingdoms, meet different characters, go on quests. I was thinking, as I was watching, I'm like, this would make a great world for an RPG. But unfortunately, I have to judge the film, right? I gave this a 2.5 out of 5. Again, objectively, it is a horribly made film. The writing is terrible. This characterization is an horrendous. Like, this is what not to do, a 101, what not to do when writing a film. But there's some fun stuff, right? I Franco knows I like costumes. And there are some interesting costumes in this. There are some interesting visuals. The action was fun. I continued watching it. I couldn't stand the first one. I paused it at times. So I realized I need to take a break from this. That was unwatchable. The first one was unwatchable. This I watched the whole thing through 2 hours. It's shorter than the first one, which helps as well. So sue me, I didn't hate it. I like when things go boom, and a lot of things go boom in this film, and they look quite decent. So props, especially to the CGI artists on this. They did a really good job on some of the visuals in this. The visuals are much better than in the first one. The first one had some horrendous visuals as well, to be honest with you. Anyways, guys, I'm going to set off. I'm going to bring up Civil War on the screen so you can continue discussing.
Time for our Civil War. Woo!
I'd love to be here for the discussion. As you know, I have a lot of opinions about it. But I need to...
By the way, Andrea, just to let you know, I rated it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
What did I rate? I've still not decided, guys, what to rate Civil War. I really don't know what to rate Civil War. I have no idea what to rate it. At times, I'm like, this is a 4.5 out of 5. At times, I'm like, this is a 1 out of 5, man. This is a 1 out of 5.
What?
Yes. Yeah. I'm so conflicted.
How can you swing so widely between, like...
Because it's such a beautifully made film. But at the same time...
But then it says nothing.
No hollow, nothing. What does it say about journalism? Journalists risk their lives. Wow. What does it say about war? War is bad. Wow.
What do you mean? Journalists risk their life? Wow. I mean, that's enough to make a movie about. That's a movie right there.
No. But we've seen this movie, that kind of movie, journalists risk their lives over and over and over again. To the point that now I'm remembering that a better movie about journalists is Agnieszka Holland, when she did the one with the Soviet Union, where there was a journalist taking photo of the famines in Ukraine. And while in St. Petersburg, they were having the times of their lives. What was that movie? Agnieszka Holland?
Guys, I'm going to set off, because I need to enjoy your discussion. And then when you're going to conclude, just let me know. So I'll come here and the podcast. Enjoy. And thanks to all the viewers and listeners who joined us. Should you watch Rebel Moon Part 2? Yeah, probably not. Do you think an R-rated cut will ever be released for Rebel Moon? Keith, I think it will be released. I think it will be better than what we got here. But the R-rated cut will not recover, terrible writing. Like, the screenplay is what it is, right? and
Well,
more
why
blood.
wouldn't they just release the R-rated cut straight away? I
Because
don't
they wanted
understand
to
the
create a hype
Netflix.
that was created for the Justice League Snyder cut. I think Netflix thought that, having another Snyder cut, R-rated cut, would be like generate that hype, the same hype there was for the Justice League.
The Justice League.
But I don't think they predicted the films being this bad, to be honest with you. So, Keith, I think it will be released because I think Snyder is working on it right now. But I don't think it's going to help. It'll be better. It'll be better, definitely, because more blood, more boom and more blood, right? 1 hour, 1 more hour. As long as it's not another hour of grain porn, then that's an issue. But we'll find out. But thanks
Zack
to all the
Snyder.
I'm off.
Snyder farming simulator, basically.
Yeah. I'm off, guys.
And
enjoy the rest of the
see you.
podcast. And
Ciao,
thank you to all
ciao.
viewers and listeners.
Mela, Civil War yesterday. As we told you guys, we went to watch Civil War. We had the whole line just for us film freaks on row F. Thank you, Francesca. Too many Fs now. And afterwards there was quite a passionate discussion, especially from my side. And I apologize again if I came off very this movie. But I disagree with Bruce saying that the cats don't eat lasagna. I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Listen, we're gonna see Garfield the movie, okay, and then we're gonna have a very heated discussion about this.
Yes, about lasagnas and pizzas and meatballs.
Yes.
No, but Civil War, guys, if you haven't seen this movie, this is going to be very spoiler heavy discussion. So you've been warned.
And you totally should see this movie unspoiled, and it's very well worth checking out.
And another movie which I would say the trailer has nothing to do with what we saw, because one, it's very character driven. I think we can agree that it's very beautifully shot. There are some moments where like, wow. The last 30 minutes were great, like a great set piece. Incredible. Great tension. And
can we agree that you think like people should go and see this film? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I always it's best that if you want to make your own conclusion, go watch the movie. It's there are some moments where the sound is amazing, like you hear the gunshots going almost behind you as well. So there are very tense moments, like especially the Jesse Plemons sequence was great. Unfortunately, this is where then I start to deviate. I gave it a 3 out of 5 for the simple reason that technically it's great, but content-wise, I'm still not sure what it's trying to say. And I'm in agreement with Andrea, because like it's like we've heard it all before. War is bad, granted. What else are you going to say? Journalists, this is their life. Okay, but I mean, it wasn't. I mentioned this movie, which is called Mr. Jones by Agnieszka Holland. I mean,
but there can be more than one movie about the same topic. It's not like once one film comes out about journalists in war, you have to just draw the line.
No.
There are so many films about
it is so vague. This movie is so unnecessarily vague. I don't know. Have you watched Anatomy of a Fall?
Yes. Fantastic.
Because and Anatomy of a Fall, you still at the end of it, you're still in doubt, and I like that. I'm fine with that. That it's not a neat packaging, a neat package of an ending, which it keeps you wondering, it keeps you thinking, and there's
but
questions.
This film was vague on certain things, and I did that. This film for me is a 4 on 5. Okay, I really liked it. I didn't come out saying this is a masterpiece, but I came out saying that was a really, really, really strong film, and I really enjoyed it, and I think and I'd love to dig into it. The thing that felt maybe too vague was the cause of this war. I had no sense of what this war was about. Maybe there was some exposition that passed me by. but I didn't really have an understanding of what were the stakes of this war, as in what were the sides going to win or lose if they had to succeed. However, what it isn't vague about is the job of a war photographer, and that's what this film is about. The job of a journalist in wartime and having to document, being kind of like an impartial observer, no matter what. You know what I mean? And as difficult as that can be, you know, to hold up the camera to things that are completely shocking and ugly to you, and becoming almost like a machine in that you just need to capture the image. The image ends up being all that matters to you, you know? And on that front, I think the film was very, very clear. You know, we need these people to show us what is going on. You know, it's an incredibly tough job. It's an incredibly hard job. And, you know, a lot of people wouldn't be able to harden themselves enough to simply aim the camera at the horrors they're seeing. But this film is about that, I think.
Granted, but I've read, by the way, I've read a great essay by Thomas Flight. He's a video essayist on YouTube. Guys, do check it out. And I've also heard Francesca's shared a link to a podcast by the New Yorker, if I'm not mistaken, Critics at Large, where they mentioned Susan Sontag as well, and they also mentioned the idea that it's not objective because the photographer takes a decision on how to frame the photo, because even like it looks, some of the imagery looks beautiful. You know, when there was I'm not sure whether they were resisting. I don't know which side was fighting who. But remember when there was the execution, where basically that guy was executed, those three hooded guys, and in the sequence before there was this guy bleeding his guts out.
Yeah.
And you see this shot, like the photographer didn't decide to take any other shots except for that one, and it's only on again one side. There's so much lack of context, and also there was a great example of Susan Sontag about the Spanish Civil War, where apparently Virginia Woolf, like so far detached from the Spanish Civil War, her conclusion was like war is bad, but the thing that the Spanish Civil War was being fought was against my my name, basically, my dictator, my eponymous dictator, basically, against Franco. So it was a just war. Yeah, we don't know the reason, and people are saying, but do we need this context? There's not enough vagueness where there's no. I think it's not morally gray. It's amoral, basically. And it's that in itself, even though it says
you feel the film is amoral.
Yeah, it is amoral, I think, because it's
it doesn't make any stand on anything, basically.
On anything, kind of yes. It's because
but I think that's intentional. It's like that scene where you're seeing them kind of execute those guys with the hoods covering their heads. Like, I don't know. Maybe I was just too thick when I was watching the movie, or maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. I don't know whether that was the Western forces or the Eastern forces. You know, I don't know whether the guy. But the guy's hanging in the gas. This is a spoilerific review, right? The guy's hanging in the gas station. I don't know, like, what side any of these people were on. No, this is why I feel it was too ambiguous. But I think that's the point. That's the point.
No. Those were basically looters. That's one thing which I'm certain of, because the guy holding the machine gun basically told her these are looters, and they were enjoying themselves. They were enjoying themselves, like torturing these people. Those were looters. They had nothing to do with the war.
Yeah, but the guy with the gun, like.
But this is the thing, though. This is the thing. Bruce, that execution is a war crime under the international law, within the framework of reality. that execution is a war crime. And the fact that none of the photographers took photo of that to document, if they were really about documenting the horrors of war and the execution, they didn't even give a shit about it.
They did take photos, no, when they shot those guys with the hoods.
No, they didn't. They didn't. They, as far as I remember, they didn't. As far as I remember, they didn't. Again, I'm starting to be corrected, but I don't know if I don't think she the character of Kaylee Speedy, Jessie, took a photo with her camera. She just saw them.
But again, that we see through the film the development of this character. Okay, the young woman, Kaylee Speedy. Am I pronouncing the name right? Kaylee Speedy. She starts out emotional. In fact, the first kind of encounter they have, she's bawling, she's in tears.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't learned to sort of like detach herself enough emotionally from what she's seeing and just be a photographer, which is what Kirsten Dunst is so good at least at the beginning of the film. She is, people keep joking about how she's so cold and so she's so heartless. She just cares about the image. You take a photo of you if you're dying, if it's a good image, and say something, you know what I mean? She doesn't. And that's what this young woman, Katie Speed, learns to be, No,
so, but to what extent you are detached? To what extent do you have to be detached? Obviously, as you can be as detached as possible, but if there's a shred of humanity left in you, you'd react like Kirsten Dunst would react. We've seen those flashes.
Kirsten Dunst, over the course of the film, I think starts to kind of become sensitive to it, which is kind of her undoing. You know what I mean? That's why the character, again, massive spoilers. I'm gonna just spoil the ending, yeah? That's why the character at the end dies, is because she becomes sensitive. She starts to care about what happens to this girl who she didn't, she said, listen, at the beginning of the film, she was like, if you get shot, that's on you. I'm just taking photo. I'll take a photo of you getting shot. You know what I mean? And that's why the young woman, ends up taking what will be one of the most historic photos of all time, because she's lost that sensitivity. She's become totally desensitized. All she cares about is capturing that image. And we need people like that. I think this film is trying to say that we need people who are just going to go in, put their own,
humanity aside,
humanity aside, just to capture things for us, to see and for history to be preserved.
No, Bruce, can you listen to what you're saying? Listen to what you're saying, because if the issue about it all, because Alex Garland said that we're losing our humanity in this polarization. So if that is the task he set out to do, and you're telling me that we need people who set aside their humanity, that's troubling. That's a troubling message. I'm sorry. I mean, because even doctors sometimes they have to, but doctors they have to be in a moment where like, okay, I have to focus on my task at hand, and then let me, then as far as then I can like cry. I cannot be always stoic.
Maybe I don't know if I'd say, maybe rephrase that. Let me say, sort of put their humanity aside, put their emotions, perhaps I should say, aside, and kind of harden themselves enough to just think about what is the image I need to capture, because what is the image the world needs to see right now.
No, but it's not the message it's not the thing that I got, because
what did he get?
Because at the end she didn't even check if she's okay. We don't like even. Okay,
yes, that's the journey of the character, and I don't think the film is saying that's good. I think that's the kind of what the film is kind of asking you to question, is like, she's become a super efficient photographer. I think that's undeniable. That now she is one of the most incredibly efficient war photographers ever, right? She just thinks about the image. All she cares about is capturing a good image. And as a cost to that, she's lost that sensitivity. And that's why at the end, it's almost shocking, like how little she seems to care about Kirsten Dunst, right?
But again, so
by not,
and I was, which is even more annoying, that if you're telling me, if Alex Garland tells me, oh, I'm because that's another thing. This movie is he is contradicting himself with this movie. That if he's like, oh, I'm missing the journalists of all time, and then you go and tell me that and he says that these characters are like journalists of old, and we see the behavior of Kaylee Spiney behaving like that in the very last scene. And even Kirsten Dunst as well, and obviously Kirsten Dunst, there's that sudden switch at the end where like she tries to protect. And also what's funny is Wagner Moura's character. He cries so much with when Sam dies. And then with Lee, it's as if nothing happened. Like there is like it's like, okay.
I think by the end he's so close to his goal. You know what I mean? That he's so close to getting the president. You know, that maybe that is all he's obsessed about right now. And people and I think this film is about people putting their emotional connections aside for the job of getting that thing recorded.
But to what extent? I'm saying, Bruce, to what extent?
Yeah.
How far?
I do think the film is saying that the main character, the Kaylee Spiney, has lost some of her humanity. Not some.
Okay,
she's lost a good chunk of her humanity. Let's say it's a very big word, but let's say that. And yes, I don't think the film is saying that's good or bad. I think that's just a very kind of sort of interesting place to end on. You know, it's morally ambiguous. You know what I mean?
No, it's amoral. Morally ambiguous is Anatomy of a Fall. I can accept something morally ambiguous like Anatomy of a Fall, but Anatomy of a Fall, I'm not speaking a lot about form now, I'm not just the filmmaking technique now, but also the script writing technique, because Anatomy of a Fall gives you enough information to make you doubt yourself every single moment. And I enjoyed it. You know, it's very morally ambiguous. Like there was even let's say that the character did kill him or not. She had you'd still sympathize with why she did it. No, you still empathize with why she did it, but you don't sympathize because it's not the way I would like. Normal people would have divorced the guy, not just push him out. But still, the problem is we don't know if she did or not, or whether he just fell. And I'm fine with it because I have enough information to keep thinking about it. Here it's just like I have no information whatsoever. I'm being given. You set out of telling me that there's so much polarization, and you give me a product which also polarizes people. It's so.
No, because I think the reason you're saying this film is polarizing audiences, is that what you mean?
Yes, because
because money-wise,
money-wise,
it's doing well.
It's doing well, but you see some of the reviews. Some people say this is about January 6th, when there's no clear line where saying these people are MAGA and these people are Democrats. You know. And
that's intentional, though. That is totally intentional.
Yeah, so
the director does not want you as an audience to say these are the goodies, these are the baddies.
But
That would be too easy. And I think that's what's disappointing people, is that we're going into a war movie and we don't know who we're rooting for. But that's not the point of the movie.
I'm sorry, but there's no sense of there's no sense of justice then whatsoever. There's no sense of justice.
The film is making you kind of take a step back from war and see it through kind of like an objective pair of eyes.
No, it's too fog of war. There's no objectivity in it. Because if there was objectivity in it, Bruce, if there was objectivity in it, they would tell you, okay, this side is fighting for this thing, and this side is fighting for this thing. But
that's what I kind of went in expecting. But I've realized that really isn't what the movie is about.
No. I went in. It's not a question of me expecting it. It's not a me of expecting anything. I went in. I was like, okay, I'm going in as blind as possible, as open-minded as possible, and I came out with it. Neither here nor there. I came out with it like this. This is a whole load of pretty nothing, to the point that even Andrea, yesterday we were discussing with Joe for a while. We said this screenplay has so much blanks to fill us in, and I was going to say, like, the liberals are saying that this is about January 6th, and the Trumpers are saying no, this is the kind of situation we are now with Biden. It's for me, it contributes more to the confusion. To be fair, again, I'm not dissing the technicality of it. Like, the last 20 minutes were enjoyable, great war thing. Some people also called it a bit like Emmerich, where you have to destroy the landmarks, so to speak. Like, I appreciate it.
I feel that's what I feel like that's what the posters and really promised. This was going to be like World War America, and it was going to be like you're going to see all these massive monuments get demolished. But actually, it's just a kind of a quiet, it is a kind of a quiet, but it is a character study about journalists, and it's totally intentional that we don't know what the sides are fighting for. I thought it was going to be totally left America versus right America, and we were going to get crazy MAGA caricatures and crazy leftist caricatures, but it's totally ambiguous. At the end, we have no idea if the characters even sided with the president or not, personally. No clue. But that's the point of journalists and war photographers, is they go in regardless of whether it's the side they want to win or whatever. They go in to capture history for us, for the public, to see what's going on.
But that's the thing.
So at the end, when they kill the president, it's really unsettling, because I don't know why what was it about the president that they wanted to kill him for? Is this a good ending? Is this a bad ending? This is why leftists see this film as January 6th, and this is why the right wing see this as Antifa or whatever.
No, I'm telling you myself as a leftist, I don't know what this movie is about, and I hate it. It's actually ultra liberal. Let's take no sides and be both sides. Because I wanted to know, for example, when they mentioned this particular thing, another spoiler here, the Antifa massacre. I want to know who did the killing, because I have to have a sense of no, that is wrong. I'm sorry.
That is probably one of the few things I didn't like in the script. It's too specific. That I think they could have done without.
No, it's not specific. How is it specific?
I think because it's tying it too closely to current events and things.
No, at all, Bruce. You're wrong. Sorry. The thing was, it's because of the Antifa massacre, and you can say, the Antifa killed someone, and some other person said, no, they killed the Antifa. So which is it? There's no objectivity in it.
That's true. I mean, I assumed that was about Antifa getting killed. That's what but maybe about, again, you're saying it like that, but again, I would have just said avoid mentioning something so super specific and already so loaded politically right now.
Yeah, but if you really that's why it's not objective, because if you really want to get into the depth of things, you tell me, oh yes, when again, and this is coming from someone who would be Antifa. Either tell me yes, the Antifa killed a bunch of people, or else the Antifa were killed. You know, it's just a
but
dumb
again,
riddle
I
at the
think
end of the
that this
day.
is the problem. I think referencing Antifa is too distracting.
No,
I
not
think that's
even
my
not.
problem with it. It's too distracting.
Not only that, but even the dissolution of the FBI, the FBI has been so right wing. For example, the FBI have been so right wing, and like for example, since J. Edgar Hoover's time, where they tried to blackmail Martin Luther King. So this president, like, if why, I don't know why he dissolved
Yeah, but
the FBI.
I think you're looking for the wrong answers in this film. I think you're looking for whose side should I be on? Should I have been cheering the killing of the president or not? And that's a discomforting ending, precisely because you don't know. But that is exactly the point.
No, listen, like, so you're telling, so basically, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't kill Trump. I'm sorry. That's my thing. As much as I hate the guts of the person, I'm sorry. He needs to go to jail. But I wouldn't kill him. I'm sorry. If you're telling me, and this movie tells me this guy, what I saw was some fear in him. Like, please don't let them kill me, and they try to negotiate. So it's so really ambiguous.
No, it is shocking, and it's shocking when his speaker comes out and is shot, and our characters are taking photos of it. Right? It's shocking. We're not used to seeing characters behave so kind of unheroically, in the sense that they're not stepping in and they're not, like, you know what I mean, fighting for what we as the audience would expect heroes to fight for. But that is not their role. Their role is, we need to capture this because this is history in the making. People need to see this.
Keith said that from what I got from Civil War, the division may have occurred because the president was on his third term, which in America it can't happen. Granted, but why? If
I think
that's
just one of many things that we're probably not being given information about.
Okay. No, because just to answer Keith, the thing is, was he voted in, or did he just decide to remain for the third term?
Yeah,
because that's another thing, you know. You were going to say, sorry, Bruce.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what Alex Garland is really interested in is, one, the role of war photographers and how kind of important they are, and what kind of, you know, hardship they go through, and how steely they need to make themselves emotionally. They really need to become cold to what's going on and just focus on what's in the camera lens. But two, it's about this character dynamic. It's about Kirsten Dunst and this young actress, Keely Spawney, and how those two characters kind of cross over. There's the scene when we see the people hanging in the gas station, right? Keely Spawney is like whimpering. She's shocked by these people just hanging like half dead, you know. Kirsten Dunst comes up and very kind of coldly says, "Shall I take a photo of you with them? Like, can I take your photo?" While this guy, this Luther, is hanging still alive, covered in blood, you know, and she's just going to take a photo of this kind of psycho guy with the gun next to these bodies hanging. We're really not used to that in a film, to see a main protagonist act like that. We're used to them taking some kind of moral action against these kind of characters. And by the end, we see the reverse of this. Now it's this girl who is just walking, you know, who sees Kirsten Dunst die, gets up, and just needs to go towards this president's office to get the photo. So they flipped. And I think that's the most interesting thing about the film for me, is these characters and how they've each become one another.
But this was something which the New Yorker podcast says, like Kirsten Dunst stepped in to save Jesse, the character of Kaylee Spawney, And but then again, but the cost was like this guy was almost lionized as being like someone who's protecting his private property by torturing people. And they mentioned they also
I don't think
mentioned
she's lionizing him. I don't think she's lionizing him.
We don't. But that's the thing. We don't know. The podcast was so great, and also saying like, where are these photos being seen? If there's so much problems with the Wi-Fi.
That's unimportant. That's unimportant. No, the fact is, the photos have been taken.
No, look, Bruce. How is it unimportant? How is it unimportant?
Doesn't matter whether they're published in the USA.
But then you're contradicting yourself. How is it unimportant when you because you told me that these are the job of the journalist to be objective.
Yeah.
But if their photos is not being seen, there's no objectivity.
Obviously, they're going to be seen. They're taking them to be seen. But where are they going to be? What do you mean they weren't?
Because every single time we never see them like being published or anything. There's no.
Do you want like a spinning newspaper like coming to the frame and saying like Spider-Man style? We assume that they're gonna be given to Reuters. No, that was what they were working for.
Bella, I'm just saying
they're working for Reuters.
Yes, but again. There was a problem with the Wi-Fi. We don't know whether the photos were taken or not. So that's one thing. And secondly, where are they sending them?
They work for Reuters, no? News organization.
Yes, but without Wi-Fi.
But
how is it unimportant when you're telling me it's objective?
Because what matters is that obviously these photos are going to be seen, all right, for whatever news organization these people work for. And what matters is that these photos will be preserved for history, so people can always see what the hell went on during the Civil War and how crazy things got, and that's vital. We need to know.
But in that sense, Bruce, now we're living in an era where even the photos that were taken of dead people in the Holocaust are being put into doubt. That is the problem with this movie, that it doesn't give me something solid.
I don't see how. I mean, I don't understand the connection.
No, I mean because that's the problem. We're speaking. We've come so far from that objectivity. We've come so far from the objectivity, and this movie is not objective whatsoever. Because we've come from
this movie.
This is something that they mentioned. Just a second. This is something. Well, first I have to read Andrea's comment because he said, "I thought the characters were very thinly written. One of the biggest weaknesses of the film." And almost generic in how they are. One young and hopeful, one who has seen it all and has PTSD, one who's there for the one shot, and the experienced one with a wise word of advice. I have to agree. Secondly,
just because they're generic, just because we've seen those kind of characters before, doesn't mean they aren't real. You know, the newbie photographer would be young and naive. The veteran war photographer would be steely and probably have some PTSD. I mean, okay, we've seen it before. Doesn't mean it's not true.
If anything, he was the one that took action at the end of the day and got shot to save the other guys. And then Kirsten Dunst at the end, obviously, but too little, too late. And another thing. Again, this is not me saying these talking points. That. What happened, especially in Palestine right now? What happened in Palestine right now in Gaza? Much of Israel went ahead and said Palestine is winning the propaganda war. People are dying of hunger, and Israel is as if nothing happened. I'm sorry. Imnalla kienu the journalists in Gaza themselves because they were forced to be journalists to show, listen, guys, we are dying here. And again, the objectivity here is, listen, war crime, taking people hostages is a war crime, but it's an even worse war crime trying to put people out, trying to corner people in one thing and bomb them and leave them dying of hunger. Can we agree on that? Because movie doesn't say that. There's like, oh no, I'm just, someone is killing me, and like, people, wara li qatt dan għax polarization is an issue here in the thing. He's like, no, polarization is still going to happen. It's kind of nihilistic in a sense as well. Eh?
I do think it's quite a nihilistic film, but in a very interesting way, and that's something I like about it. I think it's a very dark movie. You know, it really shows you kind of like the madness and the horror of war.
Yeah,
but what's most discomforting is that we're not used to seeing characters simply, you know, observing and recording. We're used to seeing them take some kind of heroic action, which Kirsten Dunst does at the end and ends up dying for it.
But we've seen this. War is bad kind of movies. We've seen this. All Quiet on the Western Front. Even what's it called? The of Saving Private Ryan. To the point, even the Thin Red Line, which there was a certain disinterest in the war. It's about the indifference of nature. I can still tell you what it is about. The indifference of nature. The Thin Red Line. This movie what is it about?
But you don't need the characters to tell you, you know, that what these people are doing to these bodies is wrong. You as the audience have made that conclusion. That's fine. You know what I mean? You don't need the characters to say, you know, this is really bad. You know, you can make that. You can come to that conclusion yourself. So I don't feel the need. I don't think the film has a requirement to tell you what to think at all. You know, and I think that's one of the interesting things about the film is it really leaves it up to you to interpret.
Wait. It's not a question of telling me what to think. And granted, it's not a question of indoctrinating me, but at least take a position. You know, it's like I'd rather, for example, let's take another example. I appreciate someone who tells me that they're against abortion than someone saying like, oh, both sides of the argument have something to say. Like, I'm sorry, no. At least the person who's very honest is those that telling me, listen, I'm against abortion. And that is at least from someone coming from who's pro-choice. They can start a dialogue. This movie has no dialogue whatsoever. For it to be so center and not taking any positions, there's no dialogue happening.
But if this movie had all the dialogue in it, if this movie was just that kind of debate, like we wouldn't be having so much of this dialogue, which I think is what's interesting about the movie. It presents you with something quite ambiguous, and as a result, it forces you to think about it on your own terms.
Sorry, Bruce. Because Francesca said, friend of the show, Francesca, by not giving us context of the war, so not giving us heroes and villains, good and bad side, I felt it was trying to emphasize the futility and humanity of war when you don't have anyone to root for. So basically, like Ukraine.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Right now, there's the Ukraine-Russia war. So what? The Ukraine should not hold arms because war is bad, and let Russia take over, basically.
No, what I think the film is trying to do, and what I think are just is
the film.
The film is denying. No, but what Francesca is trying to point out the film is doing, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francesca, is that by not giving us the sides, by not telling us that this side was for this and this side was for that, and these are basically, and you choose then, okay, so I root with these guys. Therefore, you don't have any sense of this is a heroic moment, or this is a, you know what I mean, at the end when they kill the president. Basically the horror of war is undiluted by the side you take. You can't have a side. So all you're left with is seeing war coldly, objectively, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying when you're seeing them burst into the White House to kill the president. It's terrifying when you're seeing them shooting in the building. You can't take us. There's no information to take sides.
But that okay. There's no information, and you're telling me that this is the objectivity. How can you be objective with no information whatsoever?
Because because usually in war films, you know what side you're on. So when the side that you're on starts shooting and massacring the enemy, you don't feel the horror as much because they're on your side, and you think, okay, good, we're winning, or oh no, we're losing.
Not at all.
But
not
yeah,
at all.
we don't have that. We can't hide behind that feeling of like triumph or failure. You know what I mean? It's just showing us coldly, this is what happens.
Not at all. No, Bruce, not at all. Because there were some movies that did that. Like, are we really the heroes? There's another point. Are we really the heroes? Are really bringing democracy to Raqqa? Especially with the Abu Ghraib photos, for example, because Abu Ghraib photos. They mentioned the podcast that Francesca sent. They mentioned the Abu Ghraib photos, and again, if you're telling me, "Oh, war is bad," so the Ukrainians should just put their guns down, because Russia.
I don't think it's saying war is bad. It's saying war is horrifying. That's different.
War is horrifying and war is bad. It's just a different adjective.
No. It's not the same thing. War is bad is saying that war shouldn't happen. I mean, kind of is the same thing, but what the film is trying to focus on is that war is horrifying. Whether it's a war that has to be fought, or whether it's a war that shouldn't be fought, regardless, it's a horrifying thing.
Yes, and the movie didn't. If you're telling me,
it's not saying that there shouldn't have been the civil war. It's not trying to say that. It's saying that there's a war going on in this film, and this is the reality of what war is like. You know?
Yeah, but yes, but like you said before, we don't need this movie to tell us that war is horrifying. We know.
I mean, in a way, do we? I think we could use, a few more movies like Civil War.
No, at all. I think the better way to see the horrors of what happened is, if I'm not mistaken, the art. Oh my God, this was by someone called Joshua Oppenheimer. Speaking of Oppenheimer, The Act of Killing.
That was the documentary about.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think especially for an American audience or Western audience, let's say, I think it's an important film to see, because usually when we see war films, they're in another land or they're in the Middle East, and so we have that disconnect. We go, oh, that's Israel-Palestine fighting. That's a different culture. That's on the other side of the world. This is saying, okay, this is what it would be like for you if you were in a war. Imagine America was in a war, right? And it was like two sides and they were ripping each other apart. Finally, you kind of get what people like in the Middle East might be feeling right now. You know what I mean? How horrifying it might feel. When you see it on your own home turf, it's a different thing,
Granted, because I can agree with that it was really interesting seeing like the helicopters and the shooting in Washington. That is something we rarely see. Granted,
like you see news footage of this stuff in when Saddam Hussein was, taken. Like you see the statue of Saddam Hussein falling down and stuff like that.
Granted.
This is like, okay, imagine that in America. Imagine that in your own home country.
Yes, but the problem with this movie is Alex Garland is showing how ignorant he is of current American politics, bro. Because I still cannot fathom how, like, there was a great review on Letterboxd. I want to know what the president did so for that California and Texas made an alliance together, which
again, beside the point. Totally beside the point.
No, it's not beside the point.
It is beside the point, because you're looking for what is the cause of this war, which is what I was looking for and why I was kind of uncertain when I came out. But I have since kind of like felt actually that was a smart move not to tell me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what California and Texas have to agree on.
Bruce, I'm gonna ask you a question, and I know it's reality. This we're talking about a movie. Bruce? Why did Iran bomb Israel recently? Why did Iran send drones to Israel?
I want to talk about the movie. I don't want to get too bogged down in
No. Wait.
politics.
Why did Iran? No, it's not about the politics. I'm trying to make a point about the movie here.
I don't want to comment on that because I really need to, like, if I'm gonna comment on like real actual war and stuff publicly, I want to like really know my stuff. So I'd rather not.
No. It's fine.
into it.
No. Look, Bruce. It's not a judgment on whether you know or not.
Mhm.
Do we know why Iran bombed Israel? Or if you want to know, yeah, you can search out. But do we know why? Because I know basically Israel bombed the Iran embassy in Syria. So there was a starting point here.
Mhm.
So why
What's
don't we
your
get
point?
that point at least? Because that's the job of journalists. That the retaliation came from this point. And this movie, for all its objectivity and all, it's like, oh yes, information is good. There's none of it. Again,
But again, the point
Bruce,
about what I'm gonna say.
Bruce, so sorry, because now I'm going to contradict myself. Maybe that is the point of the movie, that these journalists are not doing their job properly after all.
Mhm.
But it's too.
I think basically that I'll stand by my point that I think the film is about the experience of being a war photographer, and it's about these two characters learning to, one, becoming more sensitive to what you're seeing, and the other becoming more desensitized. And I think that's what the film is about.
Well,
and if we have to know the cause and the root and their sides and what they stood for, we wouldn't be seeing war quite so coldly, which is what the film wants you to do. It doesn't want you to know what, if it was a success or if it was a good ending or a bad ending. That's not the point of the film. And I think if he'd given us more information, we would have been too swept up in our own sides and how we feel about each side.
We're still. That's the thing, Bruce. Because we're still disagreeing about this movie. We're still swept up in our different sides of how we interpret something which is supposed to be.
We're in different sides of our interpretation of the film.
Yeah,
so we're in different sides critically of a film, of a piece of art or whatever it is.
Which, granted,
but we're not arguing about like who should have won, the left or the Western forces or the Eastern forces, or whatever, because that wouldn't have been Alex Garland's point.
But anyway, because Andrea said he has to butt in. Yes, butt in, Andrea. Go for it. I do think
we kind of have to draw. Obviously, we took different things away from this film, but
that's what I'm going to say. For what it set out to be, it failed miserably. If you're telling me that there's a problem with polarization, and we are at the moment disagreeing about, granted, it's a piece of art, and this guy went out and with all his, it's very condescending of Garland to say, oh, there's so much polarization, and you give me a polarizing thing like this. Because it's like you said, the liberals are seeing one thing, and the conservatives are seeing another. So you're not doing anything to reduce the polarization whatsoever. Money's coming in, well and good. Well, I think it's a great success for A24. But Andrea,
guys,
the ghost of Andrea. This is Video Nasty's short already.
Guys, that was a very interesting discussion. I was watching
tiebreaker.
By the way, Inter won the league. I'm gonna go.
Okay. That's the most important thing.
It was.
Did they won the league, or it's still like?
According to Alex
But
Garland.
was that even the point? There wasn't the point who won the league. The point was the horror of football and how boring it is.
The point was,
and when you don't have a side in football, you realize it's just millionaires kicking a ball around. On a pitch.
Exactly.
The point is the friends we made all the way.
Yeah, the point is 22 guys following a piece of leather, basically.
No, but I think,
like when you realize that, it's like, oh shit, I've been watching nothing. Oh.
I will get the opportunity to pick on Sam Melanisti, however, tomorrow and in the coming weeks. So that's a positive out of it. No, guys, the discussion is very interesting. To be honest, we can discuss this ad eternum. I'm like I said before, I'm still between a 4, 4.5, and a 1, honestly, at times, because I love the experience of watching the film.
But Franco, you're 3 on 5, no, Franco, or am I wrong?
But
or has it gone down since we talked about it?
No, look. The more, because the more I think about it, the more this movie breaks down. But I mean, again, the thing is, this is a movie. It's not a documentary. I gave it a 3 because technically it's brilliant.
It is. I agree completely.
I mean, cinematography is insanely good in this movie, I think.
Yes, but story-wise, and thematically, it's so weak, and it has so much. It's what I forgot. It's all about nothing, which you can do something about nothingness as well, but.
So not about nothing, my God.
Andrea
so much to say.
I do feel that it's about nothing. I do feel it is about something, but it's about something so bland and something that we've seen 1,000 times in cinema. How many times have we seen a film about how war is bad? How many times have we seen a film in which we see the youngling learning the ropes and eventually, taking the place of the experienced one? How many times have we seen films about journalists?
Apocalypse Now.
It's been overdone to hell. And I would expect someone as talented as Alex Garland to give us something fresh, something new with those topics. Because, of course, you can still make movies about war and about journalists. There are loads of films about journalists and war that you can make and make it feel fresh. And after watching the whole thing, the only different thing was this was set in America. And maybe for Americans, that would be a very significant thing, right? Because this is their home, their country. But for me, I'm Maltese. It didn't leave a big impact on me seeing Washington, D.C. In war times. Made no difference to me. I don't live there. So maybe for an American audience, this works much better. I might say that.
I think this film is a very effective exercise in discomfort by kind of stripping away the things that we usually cling on to in war movies, and by kind of denying us the kind of relief we usually get from these things when we see war movies. It really makes us reckon with just what the experience of, being in the middle of this madness is like. I think we usually cling on to having a side. We usually cling on to having a very active hero. And here we're not given those things. And I think it's tough to watch, and it makes you feel uneasy. And I think the ending is a masterpiece. In one, it's super exciting, but two, it really leaves you feeling kind of unsettled. That end shot where they're posing with the dead president like he is, like a hunt, like they've caught a wild animal in Africa, what I mean? And they're taking the trophy photo. Yeah, I don't know what to feel. You know what I mean? Is this like, was an innocent man kid? Was this the Emperor from Star Wars finally taken down? I have no sense, and that is so interesting. That's such an interesting ending, my God.
That's troubling. That's troubling, bro.
It's troubling in a good way.
No, it's troubling in a very
You don't know
way
if the big bad was taken down, or you don't know if the crazies won. You don't know, but these photographers were there to take a photo of it, and that's what's important.
Look, the best anti-war movies for me are the ones that leave you with a gray area, but with enough information to respect the audience. not to be like, look how, because this now it's even it's going to be 2.5 now for me, because this sounds very condescending from Garland. Because listen, I'm not once again, and I'm mentioning Anatomy of a Fall. I'm all for having ambiguous characters. I'm all for having morally gray characters.
But we need something. We need something to cling on to. Something. You don't need to portray them as good or bad. You can. I'm sure someone with the talent of Alex Garland can write characters and write situations where he can show us a little bit of both sides without making it obvious who's good and who's bad.
But that's why I'm mentioning technically.
I'm going to screenplay for him.
That's why I'm mentioning Anatomy of a Fall, because the main character of Anatomy of a Fall, we don't know whether she's good or bad. But
that's part of but that film is a bit different in terms of that film is a little bit of a mystery, and it's a little bit of a kind of a whodunit sort of.
There's exactly, but there's no mystery
and that's
here.
That's the thrill of the film, is like we don't know which side
and
that isn't the point of this at all.
We don't have an inciting incident here. There's no inciting incident, because at least the inciting incident over there is the fall.
Listen, look. When I was watching the film, I had exactly the same issue, which was like, please, I wish I had a little bit more information, because I don't know what they were fighting for. I don't know what the stakes were. It was an issue for me when I came out of the cinema. But on reflection, and sometimes you need to let films kind of like just state a little bit, in your head. That was a really smart move, I think. Because if I had known, the ending wouldn't have been so powerful. Because I would have been like, oh, okay, the side I wanted won. Or, oh, shit, the bad guys won. That's not the point at all.
For me, it's intellectually coward. For me, it's intellectually a coward. I'm sorry, it's not smart. It's intellectually coward. Because you can't portray wait. You can't portray the good side, but at what cost is the good side? You can still make those kind of something to cling on to, in the sense like, war is bad. Look at what cost. I am the good guy because I killed a bunch of families and whatnot.
But the film is saying that war photographers are there, whether or not your side wins or loses, that they have to be there to record history for us, to know what happened, to preserve it.
But we don't know what happened.
They're there to report.
We don't know what happened. That's the issue with this one.
Guys,
we don't know what happened.
We should close it here.
Okay,
we're going in circles, basically.
Yeah. We're gonna have the same discussion. This is like an episode of Dark Matter where we'll just say like reliving the same thing.
Like I said, sometimes I think it's a 4.5. I think it's a brilliantly made film technically, and it's a masterpiece in tension and editing, and the choice of music is really brave. And then I think a little bit more. I'm like, yeah, but anyways, it is what it is. We'll conclude it here. Thank you so much, Franco, for taking care of the day.
Thank you for
a great host. Thank you, Bruce, for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to the 7th of May and to get to watch all your horror shorts at Eden at 8:30. Make sure, viewers and listeners, if you're still on here, make sure you go and buy tickets for the 7th of May at 20:30 in Eden. Eden Cinema 3 is it going to be, Bruce?
Yes. Eden Cinema 3. Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
All right.
Should be a great night. We can close it here, man.
There, guys. Horror and sci-fi and thrillers.
But are you sure it's horror? I mean, it's still ambiguous.
That's for you as the audience. I'm not gonna spoon feed you and give you a little thing wrapped in a bow. All right.
But did he really die? I cannot say it.
I mean, there's red. Is that blood or is that man? No, I won't say it's blood. It's blood.
Look, I know it looks like jam, but that was intentional. All right, I wanted it to look like jam.
It's too common.
And if you tell me it looks,
person died.
Okay.
Thanks to all the viewers and listeners who joined us. Bruce, you're going to say?
No, nothing. Thanks a lot for having me on, and I really enjoyed the discussion, guys.
Good
Same
stuff.
here. Same
Hopefully
here.
next time we have some more beers to go with it.
Yes.
No,
yes.
no.
We need more beers for this kind of discussion.
True. So
Yeah,
it's important.
Thank you, all viewers and listeners.
Okay,
And
guys, thanks for having me on.
the Ad Lib Podcast
Okay.
every Monday at 20:30.